I hid because I thought that my Tourette's.
But what if the girl who made you laugh the hardest was also the one crying the most? When the cameras stopped rolling, what if every joke you loved was hiding a battle you couldn't even imagine? Baylen Dupree's story isn't just about Tourette's, it's about pressure, heartbreak, and survival. By the end, you'll see why fans around the world were left in tears and why her courage still matters today. Stay with us, because this journey will change the way you think about strength, fame, and what it really means to keep fighting. From the very beginning, something about Baylen stood out. While most kids her age were worried about homework or making friends, she was living with something far more complicated. She had Tourette's syndrome, a neurological condition that made her body and voice act out in ways she couldn't control. Imagine sitting in class, desperate to stay quiet, while your brain keeps telling your body to twitch or make sounds. That was her daily reality. But instead of hiding away, she did something extraordinary. She chose to share her world with the public. What started as simple videos on social media quickly grew into something nobody could have predicted. People weren't just watching because she had Tourette's. They were watching because she was funny, witty, and incredibly brave. Baylen Dupree made jokes about her tics that had people in stitches, and her energy drew people in like a magnet. Her parents and her fiancé Colin supported her every step of the way, proud of the way she was changing the world's view of Tourette's. But what nobody saw was the storm building behind her bright smile. As her following grew, so did the expectations. The little videos that started her journey soon caught the attention of TLC, who offered her something huge, her own reality show. The cameras would follow her every move, documenting what it was like to live with Tourette's. And just like that, Baylen Out Loud was born. At first, it seemed like a dream come true. She now had a platform to show the world that people with Tourette's syndrome weren't defined by their condition. They had humor, hope, dreams, and fears. Just like anybody else, millions tuned in, watching her ups and downs, cheering her on as she navigated life. But what the cameras couldn't capture was the crushing emotional toll of being watched by the entire world. Behind closed doors, Baylen pushed herself harder and harder. She felt she had to be the perfect representative of Tourette's syndrome, always inspiring, always positive, never letting anyone down. But that pressure was suffocating. Her parents and Colin saw it. They saw the cracks forming. Yet the public only saw a smiling, inspiring young woman. The reality was much darker. Being on television meant every vulnerable moment was preserved for millions to analyze. Every bad day became public, and the weight of being perfect was unbearable. She couldn't just have a rough day like any other 22-year-old. When she struggled, the world judged her. Behind the cameras, she was going to therapy for days a week, desperately trying to keep herself afloat. But even then, she kept smiling, assuring her fans she was fine when inside she was falling apart. In one brutally honest confession, she admitted, "I was embarrassed of who I was." The words devastated her fans. This was the same young woman who had taught them to embrace their uniqueness, to laugh at their differences, and yet, secretly, she felt ashamed of herself. Her condition was actually getting worse. The tics seen on Baylen Out Loud were just a fraction of what she endured. She later explained that what people saw just a few minutes on screen was 30 seconds of her 4 years' struggle. Fans were stunned. If that was her doing better, how bad had her darkest days really been? Her dreams outside of fame also began to crumble. Like many young people, Baylen dreamed of going to college, walking across campus unnoticed, being just another student instead of a public figure. For her, college represented freedom, independence, and a normal life. She enrolled with excitement, but Tourette's didn't come alone. It brought anxiety, depression, and obsessive-compulsive behaviors in welcome companions that made daily life unbearable. "I had to drop out of college because my other conditions got too bad," she revealed. The confession shattered her fans' hearts. She wasn't just losing a degree, she was losing another chance at normalcy. The breaking point came soon after. There's a moment in every struggle when the weight becomes too much. For Baylen, that moment came when she looked at her parents and whispered words that would haunt them forever. "I gotta go. These weren't words about leaving home or taking a trip. They were words about leaving life itself, with tears in her eyes. She admitted, "I didn't want to be alive." The revelation shocked her fans. How could the young woman who gave so many people hope be drowning in such despair? Her parents didn't hesitate. They came to her side immediately, pulling her back from the edge. But the damage had already been done. The constant pressure of being perfect, of representing an entire community, had nearly broken her completely. And yet, in that darkness, Baylen Dupree made the bravest choice of all. She decided to fight. But fighting didn't look glamorous. It wasn't dramatic breakthroughs or inspirational speeches. It looked like therapy sessions for days a week. It looked like medication that made her feel unlike herself. It looked like stepping away from the spotlight, even when that spotlight was her career and her identity, with her family and Colin by her side. She began to rebuild her life, step by step. She learned some of the hardest lessons, that it was okay not to be okay, that asking for help wasn't weakness, but strength, that her worth wasn't measured by how perfectly she could inspire others. Slowly, she began to heal. Recovery, of course, wasn't a straight line. Some days she felt hopeful, other days she felt like she was slipping backward. But each time, she got up again. One of the most important things she discovered was the power of boundaries. For years, she had felt obligated to share everything with fans, always being accessible, always smiling. Now, she learned it was okay to protect parts of her life. She also began to see her Tourette's syndrome differently. She realized her story didn't have to represent everyone with the condition. When you've met one person with Tourette's, you've only met one person with Tourette's, she explained. Her experience was her own, and it didn't need to be perfect. Through it all, Colin never left her side. He loved her not despite her struggles, but including them. He saw her completely, and that unconditional love became a cornerstone of her healing. Her family, too, showed what real support looked like. They didn't care about the cameras, the fame, or the fans. They cared about Baylen's life. The therapy sessions that once felt like punishment became lifelines. Coping strategies began to work, and little by little, Baylen Dupree learned how to live again. Then came the moment she found her voice in a whole new way. Her honesty created a ripple effect of healing, proving that strength isn't about never falling, it's about getting back up. Her tics had improved through treatment and stress management, but more importantly, her outlook on life had transformed. The fans who once cried out of sorrow now cried out of joy because she had survived. The girl who once whispered she didn't want to live became a voice for mental health awareness, a symbol of resilience, and proof that life, even with challenges, can still hold meaning. If Baylen Dupree's journey moved you, don't forget to hit that like button and share this video with someone who needs to hear her story. And if you haven't already, subscribe for more powerful stories of resilience, hope, and courage. Together, we can keep the conversation alive. Thanks for watching.